Hi guys, welcome back to Art a la Carte. I have a dead Copic marker and need to refill it, so I thought I would go ahead and show you how I do that. Now, to find out a dead marker is when you are coloring and the marker runs out of ink and the actual nib turns kind of white. If the marker is kind of dead, the ink will flow back into it after a few seconds, like with this pink marker, but my light brown is really dry, so it's just keeping that white tip. So the first thing that I do is I remove both lids off the cap and then gently pull out the chisel nib. You want to do the chisel side and not the brush nib size because the brush nib is really delicate and you don't want to break it. After that, I double and triple check to make sure that I'm putting the correct ink into the right marker. That would be a bad thing to put the wrong color in there. And then I'm going to go ahead and drip directly into the marker cylinder through the opening where the chisel side went. There are actually a ton of different ways that you can refill your marker. One, you can purchase an art syringe and inject the ink straight into the marker that way, but I don't have a syringe, so I just drip it in there. The only downside with that is you have to be really careful. If you get too close to the edge, it'll dribble all over your fingers and waste your ink. Sometimes if I am working on a piece and I need my marker to be just a little bit more juicy, you can actually drip the ink directly onto the brush nib itself. It'll give it a really quick fix, but if your marker is really dried out, the best thing is to go ahead and refill the core. I don't actually count how many drops I put in there. I kind of judge it by how juicy the tip is. If you check their official website, they say anywhere from 20 to 30 drops. So what happens if you overfill your marker? What do you do? How do you fix that? So I decided to overfill my marker just so I could show you how I fix it. I probably put maybe 10 drops over what my marker needed. And the first thing you're going to notice is that the ink is immediately beginning to drip out of the marker right from the tip. So one thing that I would do is replace my chisel nib back into the marker and then begin to scrub the chisel nib across the paper. That will help the ink to absorb into the fibers of the chisel nib, and sometimes that's enough to take care of the problem. But because I really super overfilled this marker, even with the chisel nib, you're going to see that the ink is beginning to pool out and get all over the paper. So finding a scratch piece of paper that you can kind of absorb the excess ink is very helpful. You're also going to want to test out your marker on a scratch piece of paper for the next 2 or 3 times that you use it before applying it onto your actual paper, just in case there isn't a good pool of ink in there that kind of blushes out. Other than wasting the extra ink, overfilling your marker doesn't really hurt it. It's just a kind of a pain to clean up and get your marker back into prime usage. So don't freak out if you do overfill it. The more you refill your marker, the better you're going to get at judging how much ink each marker needs. Well, hopefully you found this helpful. I know this is a short little video today, but I thought it might be helpful or interesting to some of you guys who have markers and are wanting to know how to refill them. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with me, and until next time, God bless you guys, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye!